The boardroom of Maxwell Technologies felt colder than usual that morning. Maybe it was the air conditioning, or maybe it was the ice in my stepfather's voice as he made his announcement. "The company is for real family," Marcus declared, standing at the head of the table in his perfectly tailored suit. "Which is why my son Anthony will be taking over as CEO when I retire next month." I sat there, gripping my portfolio. The one containing 5 years of innovative projects I'd developed for the company, the one proving I'd earned the position. But none of that mattered. In their eyes, I was just Elizabeth, the stepdaughter who'd never quite fit into the Maxwell family portrait. "What about my proposals?" I asked, fighting to keep my voice steady. "The expansion plans, the new technology division." "Elizabeth," my mother interrupted, her smile strained. She'd married Marcus when I was 12, and in the 15 years since, she'd perfected the art of choosing his side. "Anthony has his own vision for the company. More traditional. Like the outdated manufacturing processes that were bleeding money. Like the resistance to digital transformation that was leaving us behind our competitors. Like the nepotism that valued blood over talent." Anthony smirked from his seat beside Marcus. My stepbrother had spent more time in exclusive clubs than in the office, but he had the right last name. "Don't worry, sis. Maybe we can find you a nice position in HR." The other board members, all friends of Marcus, chuckled. They'd watched me grow up, watched me earn my MBA while Anthony partied through college, watched me work my way up from entry-level while he walked straight into a vice presidency. None of that mattered now. I stood up slowly, gathering my papers. "I see. Well then, I guess there's only one thing left to say. Finally accepting reality?" Anthony's smug grin widened. "Yes. I quit." The room fell silent. Marcus's confident smile faltered for the first time. "Don't be dramatic, Elizabeth. You can't just." "Actually, I can." I pulled out my resignation letter, the one I'd prepared just in case this meeting went exactly as I'd feared. "Effective immediately. I'll have my office cleared out by lunch." "Lizzie," my mother stood up using the nickname I'd always hated. "Be reasonable. This is a family company." "Exactly," I replied, meeting Marcus's eyes. "And I'm not family. You've made that very clear." I walked out, letting the heavy door swing shut behind me. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I'd been saving. "Miss Chin? This is Elizabeth Ward. Remember that business proposal I mentioned? I'm ready to move forward." That was 3 years ago. I'd spent the next months burning through my savings, working out of a tiny office in the bad part of town. The seed money from Ms. Chin, a venture capitalist who'd seen potential in my ideas, helped launch Ward Innovations. While Maxwell Technologies stuck to their traditional methods, we embraced the future. Digital transformation, smart manufacturing, innovation at every level. The same proposals they'd rejected, refined and improved through countless late nights and endless cups of coffee. My mother called sometimes, her voice always tinged with concern and disappointment. "The benefits at Maxwell are so good, Lizzie. Marcus would take you back in an entry-level position." I'd hang up and go back to work. The first year was brutal. 18-hour days, constant rejection, moments of doubt that had me questioning everything. But slowly things began to change. Our first major contract came from a former Maxwell client, frustrated with their outdated processes. Then another. And another. I hired the best talents I could find, people like me, overlooked because they didn't fit someone else's idea of success. Jenny, a brilliant engineer, passed over for promotion because she was too aggressive. Marcus, a sales genius who'd been told he didn't have the right look for client meetings. Together we built something new, something better. By the end of the second year, Ward Innovations had grown from a tiny startup to a serious player in the industry. Our innovative approaches attracted attention, and soon we were making headlines in business journals. I kept tabs on Maxwell Technologies through industry news. Anthony's traditional leadership was going exactly as I'd expected. Stock prices dropping, market share shrinking, clients jumping ship. Then came the morning that changed everything. I was in my office, no longer a tiny rental but the top floor of a downtown high-rise, when my assistant knocked. "Ms. Ward? You have visitors." I looked up to see Marcus and my mother standing in the doorway. They looked older, tired, less confident than the last time I'd seen them. Elizabeth, Marcus cleared his throat. You're looking well. I gestured to the chairs across from my desk, sleek modern pieces that cost more than my first car. What can I do for you? My mother reached for my hand. I pulled back before she could touch me. Lizzie, honey, we've been thinking about family. Really? I kept my voice neutral. Has Anthony's leadership not turned out as traditional as you'd hoped? Marcus shifted uncomfortably. There have been challenges, which is why we're here. We want to discuss a possible merger. I raised an eyebrow. A merger? Maxwell Technologies needs innovation, he admitted. Your innovation. We're prepared to offer very favorable terms. I opened my laptop, pretending to check my calendar. And who would lead this merged company? Well, Marcus coughed, Anthony would remain CEO, of course. But you could have a significant position. Let me stop you right there. I closed the laptop with a sharp click. 3 years ago you said the company was for real family. Has that changed? My mother's eyes filled with tears. Lizzie, please. Maxwell Technologies is struggling. We need you. No, I corrected her. You need what I've built. The company you dismissed. The innovations you rejected. The success you never thought I'd achieve. We're prepared to offer 30% above market value, Marcus said quickly. I smiled, remembering all the nights I'd worked late at Maxwell, trying to prove myself to a family that had already decided I didn't belong. I have a counteroffer, I said, pulling out a folder I'd prepared weeks ago, when I'd first heard rumors of Maxwell's desperation. But I should warn you, my terms are non-negotiable. Marcus took the folder with trembling hands. I watched his face change as he read through my terms, his usual confidence crumbling with each page. This is outrageous, he sputtered. You want majority control? 70% ownership, I confirmed. Plus immediate removal of the current board and management team, including Anthony. My mother gasped. You can't do this to your brother. Stepbrother, I corrected. And I think you'll find I can. Check page 4. The current market valuation of both companies. Ward Innovations is worth 3 times what Maxwell Technologies is now. Marcus flipped to the page, his face growing paler. These numbers are verified by 3 independent firms, I finished. While you were clinging to tradition, I was building the future. The only reason I'm even considering this merger is because some of your long-term employees deserve better than Anthony's leadership. But he's family, my mother pleaded. So was I. I stood up, walking to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Until you decided I wasn't good enough. Not a real Maxwell. Remember. The silence that followed was heavy with decades of rejection and missed opportunities. You have 24 hours to decide, I said, not turning around. After that, my offer expires and I move forward with acquiring your largest remaining client. They left in stunned silence, the folder clutched in Marcus's hands. I waited until the door closed before allowing myself a small smile. The next day my phone started ringing at 7 a.m. First Marcus, then my mother, then Anthony himself, each call more desperate than the last. You can't do this to me, Anthony shouted when I finally answered. I'm the CEO. You're the reason Maxwell Technologies is failing, I replied calmly. Check the stock prices this morning? He fell silent. The announcement of possible merger talks had sent Ward Innovations' stock soaring while Maxwell's plummeted further. Dad always said you were jealous of me, he said, his voice bitter. Guess he was right. I laughed. Jealous? Of what? Your corner office that you never use? The title you never earned? The company you're running into the ground? We're family. No, we're not. You made that very clear 3 years ago. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a board meeting to prepare for. I hung up and turned to Jenny, my CFO. Are the papers ready? She nodded, a fierce grin on her face. Everything's set for this afternoon. Your old friend Ms. Chin is particularly excited about voting out the Maxwell board. The meeting was scheduled for 3 p.m. in Maxwell Technologies boardroom. My choice of location. A small but significant power play. I arrived early, watching through the glass walls as the old guard filed in. The board members looked nervous, their usual arrogance replaced by uncertainty. Anthony slouched in his chair, refusing to meet anyone's eyes. Marcus and my mother sat close together, whispering urgently. At exactly 3 p.m. I walked in, followed by my team and several major shareholders. "Good afternoon," I said, taking my place at the head of the table, Marcus's old spot. "Let's begin with the voting results." "Voting results?" Anthony sat up straight. "What voting results?" I nodded to Jenny, who distributed new folders. Over the past year, Ward Innovations has been quietly acquiring Maxwell Technologies stock through various subsidiaries. As of this morning, with support from other major shareholders, we control 60% of voting shares. The room erupted in chaos. Board members shouted questions, Anthony swore loudly, and my mother burst into tears. "This isn't a merger," Marcus realized, his voice hollow. "It's a hostile takeover." "Hostile?" I raised an eyebrow. "I presented fair terms yesterday. You chose not to accept them. Now we do things my way." I clicked to the first slide of my presentation, showing Maxwell's plummeting stock price under Anthony's leadership. First order of business: immediate removal of the current board and CEO, effective today. "You can't fire me." Anthony jumped up, his face red. "Dad, do something." But Marcus just sat there, finally understanding the full scope of his mistake. 3 years ago he'd chosen his son over his stepdaughter. Now that decision had cost him everything. Second order of business, I continued: complete restructuring of the company. The Maxwell name will be retired. All assets and operations will be absorbed into Ward Innovations. "You're erasing our family legacy," my mother whispered. "No," I corrected her. "I'm saving what's left of it. Just not for your family." The next hour was a blur of legal documents, formal votes, and shell-shocked expressions as the reality set in. By the end, the old board was out, Anthony was unemployed, and Maxwell Technologies belonged to me. As security arrived to escort Anthony from the building, he tried one last time. "You'll regret this. You're nothing without the Maxwell name." I smiled, thinking of the sign already being installed on the building's facade. "Actually, I'm everything because I didn't need the Maxwell name. That's something you never understood." After everyone left, I sat alone in the boardroom, the same room where they'd dismissed me 3 years ago. Marcus's personal items still sat on the credenza behind his old chair. A photo caught my eye: the Maxwell family portrait taken the year after he married my mother. I was standing awkwardly to the side while Anthony took center stage. Jenny knocked softly. "Everything okay, boss?" I handed her the photo. "Have this sent to Marcus's home. And Jenny, make sure the company announcements emphasize that Ward Innovations is a self-made success story. No mention of my connection to Maxwell Technologies." He grinned. "Erasing the family connection completely?" "They erased me first," I shrugged. "I'm just returning the favor." Over the next few months, Ward Innovations absorbed Maxwell Technologies so completely that soon people barely remembered the old company name. I implemented all the changes they'd rejected: modernization, digital transformation, innovative manufacturing processes. Our stock price doubled, then tripled. My mother still tried to reach out, leaving voicemails about family healing and second chances. I saved them all in a special folder labeled Lessons in Loyalty. Marcus, I heard, had taken a consulting position at a smaller firm. Anthony bounced between jobs, his resume now permanently tainted by his failed leadership of Maxwell Technologies.